China actually do cooperate and have done so really for quite a few years is on the very sensitive issue of North Korea's moves in the direction of nuclear weaponry. Let's see what some of our experts have to say about that North Korea-U.S. Chinese cooperation.
Both China and the United States, along with others, will face two big issues. First of all, how to contain a North Korea that seems intent on keeping its nuclear weapons and has a reputation for reckless behavior. Second, this is not a particularly stable regime. Nobody knows what will happen there when Kim Jong-il passes from the scene, but one cannot rule out the possibility of some kind of collapse. And in that scenario, the United States has certain interests, China has certain interests.
I think North Korea is one of these cases where the Chinese have been fairly helpful. I think brought North Korea back to the table several times. I think the larger issue, of course, is that China has an interest in a denuclearized Korean peninsula, but China also has an interest in stable borders and does not want a collapse of North Korea. And that is its primary interest. And so there is going to be a limitation to how far China will move with North Korea, and the United States has run up into that.
Sometimes there's a sense in the U.S. that China has this, magic leverage, that all it needs to do is pull that lever and then North Korea will obey. That is simply not true.
So I'm struck by really the contrast between the way the U.S. and China have worked together on North Korea over the years and the way the U.S. and China have been unable, it seems to me, to work well on Taiwan. What's the difference between those two conflicts? Why has China been so willing to work with the U.S. on North Korea? Randy?
Well, I think we clearly have some common aversions, and I'm choosing my words carefully here because it's not necessarily common interests, because I think there is some divergence between the United States and China on North Korea and the Korean Peninsula, but certainly some common aversions. We both would not benefit if North Korea remained a nuclear-armed country with an expanding arsenal. We would both suffer if there was instability or a hard collapse that led to chaos and so forth. So I think those sets of common aversions have given us a basis for discussion and some limited cooperation. But as some of the commentators noted, there are some limitations to the degree to which we can cooperate with China, and we're finding that through the course of this effort to cooperate with China.
David?
I think it's important to emphasize that if you ask in broad brush, are we both concerned about proliferation? Yes. Are we both concerned about erratic North Korean behavior? Yes. But if you ask what are our priorities, making the Korean Peninsula non-nuclear is not China's #1 priority. I think keeping probably a buffer between South Korea and China itself is an important Chinese objective. Most important to China is the Northeast is a suffering economic region of China, and it does not need poverty-stricken additional immigrants fleeing a breakdown or conflict in North Korea. And therefore, the Chinese will work with the United States because the most important relationship they have by their own account is with us, and they do share the anti-proliferation desire. But in the end, they are not going to push the North Koreans anywhere near what they think the breaking point may be, because their priority interest is stability in North Korea and not having problems that spill over into China.